everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're coming together for an About Face. If you're brand new here, we meet every Thursday and do painting about faces. Talk about portraiture, work on it. And we have a really fun project today. Today is a fire zombie ghoulish face. So we're really getting into the spirit of Halloween, and we're also touching for our gamers, our tabletop gamers, and of course, our PC and console gamers. Mm-hmm. That was weird. Don't know where I was going with that. Anyway.
Well, this is a very gamey image. I'll pull it up here on the little picture. See, it's a very gamey image.
Thank you so much, you guys, for always being so understanding about all my weird little quirks and everything. Now, listen, if you check the description below, on YouTube, they give us like 50,000 characters. There's some dots that say more. Below there is materials, a link to our website where more information is, including a traceable and reference photo. And today's kind of a special thing, John.
Yes.
That voice you hear is John. He follows me around on all the cameras. He's my partner on the show and my husband in real life. Mm-hmm. And he makes sure you guys can see what the heck I'm doing.
Yes.
Because if he's not there, we don't know what I'm doing. I move around really crazy and quickly.
I don't know what I'm doing, though.
So this is kind of a special show because we're doing something interesting. We're going to be taking a digital painting and turning it into an acrylic painting. I get asked a lot, sent a lot of digital work. I have a lot of friends that are digital artists, right? And I love digital artwork. I love spit paint. I think it's the greatest thing in the universe.
Yes.
So it's sometimes good to know, how do you translate from a watercolor to acrylic or digital to an acrylic or back and forth? Especially if you're out on your phone, you might do a design, digitally and then want to turn it into a painting later. So we're going to talk about some of those things that we would do and expect translating something from digital. And right off the bat, I want to absolutely say, just in case you don't know this already, digital painting is not easier than traditional painting.
No.
In any way. It's the same. They have different tools.
And they have the same challenges with their tools that you do too.
So it's kind of like, we all just pick our media that works for us and try to be creative with it. So this should be sort of informing in that way. Again, there's a traceable. You don't have to draw it. It's 2 hoot. We have a 3 hoot scale here. One is you just haven't painted in a really long time and you're really unfamiliar, really unfamiliar with the materials. 2 is you've done a few paintings, but you're still really needing a lot of instruction. And 3 is you're looking for some more challenging techniques. So today's a chillax 2 hoot.
Yes.
And mostly because it's a face. Yeah. How you doing today, babe?
I'm okay. I'm like, you're with buttons, watching everybody. They love, Glenda just says she loves your hat.
I so love the support for my wild and creative nature that you guys give me because I'm all blinged up today. I love the holidays. I just love all of the holidays. I like my holidays. I like other people's holidays. I'm just up for holidays. Now, and in France, we would say on fête. All the fête.
Now, Sean was saying that they don't draw. So we have a traceable to help with that, though.
Absolutely. Use the traceable. That's completely fine. Now, the good news is on any ghoul faces, any zombie faces, any of these faces that are in stages of decomposing, there's really a lot of the strict face guidelines kind of go out the window because your guy might not have no jaw.
That's true.
Right? Tendons loosen. Stuff loosens. Sink open. It's a whole thing. So realize as you're doing this, you can be really forgiving of yourself throughout the process because who's to say what decomposition state your fire zombie is in? Nobody has a right to judge your fire zombie, and if they do, he'll eat their face. Okay, I'm so silly this morning. I'm going to get a brush and sketch this in.
Oh, do we have wishes on there?
We do on this particular. We don't normally do wishes on the Big Art Quest, but we've had so many wishes that I did wish on it.
You put a bunch of wishes in there?
I did. So let's go over the wishes. Veronica is wishing for a positive sale of her home.
Yeah.
And then we have a relief from pain and arthritis for Jane. Erica needs some safe healing and a safe surgery. Kelly's mom needs a good outcome. Dawn is sending love to her grandma. And just anyone that's crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, she's just wanting everyone to take a minute and celebrate the people that they've had in their lives that have passed. I have a wish that Shanna's friend she has tremendous pain and pain management, so we're wishing for her pain management. And healing for Stephanie B's friend, And then anyone at all today, healing for you as well. And then a really special relief from bullying.
Yeah.
So we went healing a bunch of the Me Too people.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely had a big conversation about that. And we're just wishing that everybody who's out there experiencing that receives healing and relief from that experience. And then, of course, a relief from bullies.
Yes.
Yeah. We'd like bullies to be either caught or stopped.
And,
That's what we're wishing for. Caught or stop. Either one is good. And that if you've been bullied, that you get your sense of power and well-being back.
And there are so many wonderful wishes and light keepers out here in our community. Thank you guys for catching all the other wishes and things and putting them on your canvas. That's really important to us, and we appreciate you being part of that.
Well, let's paint this stuff into the ether.
Yeah.
I'm going to load up my brush. This is a number 4 cat's tongue, and I'm just going to use it to sketch in. I'm going to sketch in with paint. Let me definitively answer right now. You do not need to sketch in with paint. You can trace on or you can sketch in with chalk.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to talk a little bit about the structure of our zombie's face. I'm going to do it with paint so you can see it.
Yes.
So I've got an 11 by 14 canvas here. And one of the things we want to think about in our zombie is that there's this upper region, right, which is kind of this little circular space that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then coming down from that, we would normally do this square to do a face. But in his case, because his jaw has gone slack, we would do a triangle, right? Already, we've loosened the jaw and ligaments by changing our face shape from a square to a triangle. You can still run your center rails, right, that you might do on your face, but some of the measurements are going to get elongated. On your zombies, on your ghouls, you're going to change your spacing to some longer distances between the eyes and the mouth. So I'm going to put my little eye line in here and see a kind of more widened out mouth line down there. And then I'm going to start sketching in my skull structure. Because a face would not be as rounded, would it? No, because it's all skullish. So I like to make sure that I go in at the temple, right? I'm going to go in at the temple to say, oh, he's bony.
Mm-hmm.
Make him a bony bad boy, right? Let's give him some sockets. Let's get some sockets in here, right? Cheekbones and sockets are happening there because it's bony.
Mm.
And your zombie, your fire zombie, should be a little different than my fire zombie. Right? We're going to give ourselves some nice eye sockets here in the center of these bone structures. So here those are sketched on in. And then, you know, he doesn't need to breathe, but let's say he did once. Once. His name was Bob. Now he's Jonathan Colton's I just want to eat your brains. I'm going to give him a nice little kind of gaping maw. You know, kind of open this up, man. Oh, yeah.
He's
Right?
kind of got that thing going.
Yeah, it helps if you go. Sometimes you paint things that will be scary to you. We did that when we did the Beholder. That scared a lot of people. They painted it, but they were afraid of their paintings.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you feel that way, that's okay.
So I'm with Wendy. She's like I'm a Fern Gully fan. I'm like, I could totally see Batty Coda.
Yes. So we're just giving that jaw some structure, even though it's rotting out, right?
Bob the zombie,
Bob.
says Brenda.
Bob the zombie. All right, let's thicken the neck. Now, he's kind of supernatural, you know, thus the fire. So let's give him some nice traps there. You know, make him dangerous. Even though he's rotting, he's got some muscles he could throw down. You know, bring in some neck. So he's a little thick-necked. He's a lunk, as they would say at my gym.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't work out there. So I've got that laid in. Once I know where that's in, right? Once I have my items sketched on or blocked in, then I can start laying in my values, my fields of colors, my darks, my lights, my midtones, my highlights, my deep shadows. So I'm going to put out my paint palette now. I've already got out some blue, so I'll put out some Mars Black.
That's a good color.
It's one of my favorites, and when I mix it with blue, I make Payne's Gray, which is a lot of our zombie guy. A lot of our guy. Now, an important part for our glow that I'm going to do today is my Alizarine Crimson, but here's what. You're just looking for a cool crimson red. If the red makes you think of blood, that would be a good red. And then I'm also going to put out some Cad Light, because this is going to help us with the glow of our eyes and our fire. Now, if the big secret sauce for you on this piece is the glow, cadmium is your friend. Because that's like what it does. That's why Bob and Thomas Kincaid painted with it. It's super glowy. Now, I felt like I saw hints of purple in this, so I'm going to put this in here because I didn't want to be without my purple. I would not like it. I'm going to put out some white, like you do, as you do, you know, to work this out. And remember, if I put my palette knife to the side, I did. So when I make Payne's gray, basically what I take is like 1 part blue and mix it to an equal part black. By the way, they just sell this color in a tube. If you're just like, I hate paint mixing.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to.
You can just make it.
You can just make it like I am, or you could buy the tube, and neither one of those answers is more right. And if you're painting along digitally, you could just use your sample tool. See? It's all good. So I'm going to get my number 8 cat's tongue. You could use a bright. You could use any brush you have. You just want something about this width. See, it's about the width of my finger that's going to let me kind of fill in my canvas. Get my brush wet. Drag off the extra. I'm going to load. See, I pull out and make sure both sides of my brush have pigment load.
Yeah.
I'm going to come get some white.
Oh,
Right?
that's interesting.
Maybe just a smidge more blue. Just a smidge. You're just looking for your background color. It needs to be like, you know, the kind of day that would raise a zombie. So I like to pull out from my paint pops, as you can see, pulling back and forth, flipping my brush over and get wet.
See, now,
and start painting this in.
Intrinsically, I think zombies are good gardeners. They're sort of self-fertilizing, you know. They can work all the time.
I'm going to add a smidge of purple to this, if I like it. And I need to get more Payne's gray. Ah, there we go. Just trying to get this exact sort of, there we go, space of color. It's the weirdest thing. Be super careful if you decide to add a little bit of the purple in here, because Doc's purple is a super powerful color. Think of it like a ghost pepper.
Right.
A little goes a long, long, long way. You can see I'm just roughing in the background. So acrylic paint is an interesting animal in that it does really hard edges. It struggles a little bit for its soft edges. Right? So what that means is like that edge is very crisp there, but sometimes blending is more challenging.
Gotcha.
That's all that means. None of it is right or wrong. It's just how the product behaves and how you work all those things out as an artist is, you know, what you do. Adding a little more darkness on here as I come close to this shoulder. This digital artist definitely outlined, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to know how to go back and forth between mediums and not try to make each medium look exactly like the medium you're being inspired by. So if you do a digital study, the digital study should be telling you the most about composition and value, maybe some technique stuff, but they're not really a one-to-one exchange.
Right.
If they were, people would just paint with one medium. They wouldn't change. Right? Why do it? So each medium has its own special gifts.
Yeah.
The gifts of everybody's medium. See how I'm just going back and forth and I'm just sort of brushing loosely. It's a bit, I feel like it's a bit like dancing, you know, just softening all those edges. See, I went through and softened them. Another, you know, you can soften edges by going over an area with a dry, clean brush too. See, and soften areas. If the paint is all still wet, that will often work super well. So, ways that we get her done. Now, as we're coming around the far edge, I'm going to pull out a little more of my, they look Payne's Gray, add a little more blue to it, and just the smidgiest purple, because we know how overwhelming it can be. We know it's like that. We've met it. We know what it's like. If you're having trouble getting your paint to blend out, you can just dip a little bit into water and thin it out. You can get your paint to flow better with water and medium. That's what you could use. See, I'm just sketching loosely around his face. I'm not super stressed about it. Right? And you don't need to be super stressed about it either. This is going to be a really cool painting, guys.
I think so. I'm looking.
Oh, you guys are going to be so happy with this. It's like, I always get happy on a zombie day, because zombie days are a fun day. One, like I said earlier, nobody knows you're zombie. They have no right to judge.
Now, I was a big fan of the undead when I used to run games.
Yes, you were.
Used to have a lot of undead. I was a DM, so
Kids ruin the undead for us. It's not fun to imagine yourself in a zombie apocalypse with children. It's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
I can barely get my kids to the Chuck E. Cheese, all of us intact. So I just can't even imagine running from an undead horde with kids.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I have 3 kids, trying to get them out on time to school in the morning.
Oh yeah, just school in the morning, right?
And
Can you imagine if zombies were also after us and we had school in the morning? Just tough times.
Yeah. So. Yeah. But see, then again, once we got them under control, and they were just our gardeners.
Yeah.
And
So this is how we get this background in, right? We're just getting this in, making sure the white canvas is covered. You can see me kind of wiggling my brush back and forth and doing nice, soft, loose brush strokes, right? These are loose, open little brush strokes. If you tour around the canvas for a minute, here I'm going to take a sippy sip, and you tour them up close around the canvas so they can see all the different colors. That's really blown out. All the different colors.
No, not at all.
That it is, right? It's streaky, it's loose, it's rough.
Yeah.
Right? Putting our wishes into the universe. I'm going to sip my coffee. And say hi. How are you guys? I hope you're well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving everybody's participation in the Big Art Quest group on Facebook. That has been pretty awesome. We're going to be posting up Jon Snow soon for the 3 days of snow. Mm-hmm. It's going to snow for 3 days. I'm thinking 3 days. We'll post it up. It'll be in the future. You'll have time to plan for it. Get, cough at work. Too sick to work. I have to paint Jon Snow. I'm not actually encouraging that.
Take a deep breath there.
Yeah, I think it's always good to just center and I'll need it too. Some stuff.
Yeah, sometimes there's just those days. Take a breath.
No, just you can get so excited when you're painting, you forget to breathe and you hold your breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Although this is kind of an interesting painting, though. We don't do a whole lot of the zombies, so
not as many as we could.
We could do more zombies.
Yeah.
But this is Halloween,
so I got these two kind of. John will tell this to you. I've got 2 kind of vibes. I've got my whimsical light vibe. It's so happy, and then I kind of skip creepy. I miss it. Spooky is my last stop. I skip creepy and go right into ooh. Oh, did you mean that? He's laughing because he knows exactly. It's
wow. It's well, I mean, there are many different kinds of beholders. And we found the most vicious, blood drippy, bitey. It was
awkward, alarming, So it's I'm.
I like this guy, though.
I'm quirky, and then I'm Silent Hill. But there's just, it's
well, there's over 300 people here, so they're really enjoying this.
Well, I love how you guys put up with the weird, stuff that we do. I love that you guys get excited about it too, and you guys are so open-minded and into doing these fun things. And
you guys, we appreciate you all come by. I don't have our bubble machine hooked up. We've already started making changes here in the studio.
Well, let's Let's go. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We are Sherpa. We got no bubbles, but we wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
I think we could probably I could probably find the tunes for us if
I feel like I'm Lowe's and Bob's. All the Canadians just went, huh? I do. I feel like I'm Bob's and Lolo, and I'm like, I'm a bobblehead. I'm a bobblehead.
So I can give you music so we can celebrate being here with our people. And I love that
There's
we
our
get to
bubble
do this.
song that was written by community members. Mike, right?
Mike, yeah. So thank you guys for coming and being with us. We love that you guys come and hang out with us. 313 people already. They're just here to paint the zombies. We're here to be the
We're all
zombies.
just here to paint some zombies, right? Yeah.
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 And have coffee, apparently.
And have coffee.
And have coffee.
And have coffee. Let's put in our shadows.
Okay. I'm up for that, shadows.
Put in our shadows. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I think you are. I really think you can handle this. All right. So let's look for our shadows that we could kind of block in. You know, because we have some dark values. Yeah. There's a dark value really right here in the center. So I'm gonna work my Payne's gray. Probably be mixing that up a lot. I'm going to work some Payne's gray and say for sure I know I've got, and I'm going to be big and loose and blocky with this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking to work this space where I see, this isn't my darkest value, this is my next to darkest value.
Gotcha.
If that makes any sense. I'm going to come and just say this is in shadow. It's so interesting when things illuminate themselves because it really plays with your light sources. And, you know, it's when you see an artist that's just really brilliant at their light sources.
Wasn't sure where you're going there.
Oh, just getting some more dark color. It's a real joy to witness and observe them. Fujita Goro is one of my favorites. And when I see his use of light, I just get all excited and also in awe of the awesomeness. You know, so I'm just going to get some of these dark values because this front, they were coming into the front part of the face that's so dark. This isn't our darkest, but it's pretty dark. And as we put in our dark colors, right, we'll be coming back with some highlights and some things. It will help shape and determine a lot of what's happening on our guy. So see him just being loose around this bone area? Mm-hmm. I'm not stressed over it. And again, because he's a zombie, you can be very loose and rough with this brush stroke. You could also be smooth. I'm going to come under this little cheekbone with this value. If you accidentally put value where you don't mean to, you can always go back and lighten it up. That's the beauty of acrylic. Oils do beautiful soft edges and never dry and could sit on a side palette and do all kinds of cool stuff. So they're awesome, but, you know, it's a lot easier to paint over in acrylic. So everything has its value, right?
Yeah.
But seriously, digital painting is not just easy.
I may have to come bump the camera here and there you go. I'm gonna come bump it over, I think, in just a minute.
Okay. So I'm gonna just keep adding these little dark teeths. And you can kind of see how I'm taking this brush, whatever brush you're using, I'm just coming in. But I'm not having to worry about this line as being like perfect because I know I want it to be rough, right?
Because his teeth aren't all picture straight.
Right. Now, you guys might be painting with economy paint, so that's why I'm making sure in certain areas I'm preserving some whites. And then where we can't, we'll go back and put some white back so that you get nice pigment coverage no matter what.
Now, let's see here. I had a good question here.
I'm going to bring this down at an angle towards this mouth.
Caitlin was asking, how do you discern the shadows from the highlights? And I'm not sure exactly.
So if you're having trouble telling where your shadows are or your highlights, generally what it is that as you paint more and more and more, your brain will start to make all of these connections more articulately. But it is really natural to, when color is involved, struggle sometimes to see how light or dark something is. My big advice is take the reference photo, drop the color value out of it in your photo editing software, make it a grayscale, and look at it then. That's also helpful with anything you're painting. Anything you're painting and the actual painting you have, if you can just take a picture with your cell phone and make it grayscale, you're going to know right now if your values are on point. Because sometimes the color will fool your eye. because that's color theory. That's its job, is to fool your eye.
It does it.
So it's that value, that it's the value versus the color that we're playing with as artists. I'm just loading up some more of my paint here. And it feels like this through here is pretty dark. And they just used some highlights to talk about most of it a little bit. Let's give him some weird, rough-edged maw. At this point, what I'd say we have here is a maw.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could have left some white here, but I'll come back and put it back when I'm putting in the fire mouth. And I like to paint a fire and a lava things. If you want to know about lava and fire, we have a whole quest on that because for some reason I just felt like teaching lava last year, and so we covered that. We've done a lot of things on fire, candles, fire heart, fire space unicorn. We tend to cover the fire often.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a weird thing here just so I don't lose everything. I'm going to make sure that I put a little light value. I've just added a little white to my brush.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that I add, we're going to define this more. It's just a value up from that so that when I come back with the rest of my dark, I can tell where his chin stops and his dark begins again. Doesn't take much, but you'll find you're going to need a little. Now this shape is going to come over here and then over. So it goes wiggle out, down, in, over.
How did you know that?
I'm looking at my reference. You guys have a reference too.
Yeah. I mean, just like I did not see that. Okay, I guess that's from you're looking at that little, the highlight that's happening there. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a highlight on the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe I can show it on my reference here, right? Maybe that'll help. So I've got my reference, and what I'm looking for is
okay. Gotcha.
that line. And then there's kind of this line coming up here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? Again, and I have some different tools than this artist did, but I still have to recognize where our tools have something in common. And where my tools have something in common with digital art is our value. Right? He's got a brush tool, and it behaves somewhat like my brush tool, but it is a little different. So I'm just making sure that, you know, when I'm painting here, I'm just leaving some of my light value.
Yeah.
Just being rough about it. Be rough about it. I might need to mix a little more. We'll see how far my paint goes. I'm definitely going to need to mix some more. I don't know why I'm being weird. There's not hostages in a room somewhere, and if I don't make the paint go far enough, they will be dunked in ice water. See, it started to go dark, but then I backed it up into whimsical. Oh my God. I don't know if you guys can relate to that experience of having a gap in these steps. It's true in my humor, too. I got to be real careful. All right, so I'm just doing this. And it's pretty exciting. It's pretty awesome. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting this out here. Look at that. So I'll let John take a look at that while I sit so he can go around on the up close. Because what I want you to see is the streaky nature of the brush stroke.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see the streaky.
This is how in the acrylic, like by not making it perfect or smooth. So there's two kinds of thinking in painting. One, which is that you hide your medium, right? You hide that you're using paint. If you're doing hyperrealism at all, one of your first jobs is to hide that it was handcrafted.
Oh.
Right? You have to hide the medium. You have to hide the process. You only let the viewer see that process at the exact moment when it's going to make them realize what they're looking at is more real than real.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those artists are maniacal. Maniacal.
Maniacal.
You hyper-realists. Not realists. Hyper-realists. Realists are patient people who log the hours. Hyper-realists are tacticians who are here to mess with your mind. Just letting you know where the boundary is. Does that sum it up?
Mm-hmm.
It sums it up. Not that they're not good people. I'm not saying they're not good people, because magicians are here to mess with your mind too, and they're good people. Same personality type, though.
Now, Durvu is asking. Duruv was asking, what brush were you using there?
So I'm painting with my Cat's Tongue 8 and my Cat's Tongue 4.
Mm-hmm.
But you could use a bright 8. You could use a good soft round. I think you could probably get away with a bristle brush. But the thing with bristle brushes in acrylic, unless you do one of the synthetic blends, is they soften.
Jim Booth Magic says, I'm a magician.
See, you're here to mess with people's minds. I'm just saying. It's a cool thing. It's cool. I'm not saying you're not good people, but you got a plan. I was I don't know if it's shameful amends, but I will admit that there was a period of time when I clowned.
Yes.
I was a clown.
You're a good clown.
I was a good clown. And also,
Which is why
for extra cash, a Power Ranger, Barney, and a magician's assistant.
This is true.
So back when I was a much smaller person and more flexible, I saw the backside of that world. Don't let your daughters be magician's assistants.
They'll get stabbed.
Just a really, really intense job. Okay. I'm having a laughy laugh here. I'm seeing an area I want to go back and add a little darkness under my jaw right here. That kind of comes out a bit.
Yeah, everyone wants to see the purple Power Ranger Barney.
Well, no, it wasn't a purple Power Ranger Barney.
I know, but
I was the Pink Ranger because I could fit the costume, and I watched enough movies to fake the martial arts.
But see now,
Oh my God.
now they're like, no, Power Ranger Barney Cinnamon.
That would be a very, very intense thing. So I'm going to take a little of my blue into the Payne's Gray that I've just mixed because I want it to be more blue. And I'm going to pick up my white paint. All right, a little more blue because this is quite cool. And I'm going to come here and start to, it should be a close value to this, but slightly darker. And I'm going to start just blocking in what I have here. This will have to be defined in a minute by a highlighting stroke. Now, digital artists have something that they've got, which is that their screen is luminous.
Well, yes.
And we don't have that. You do, because you're looking at it on the YouTube.
Which is why sometimes Cinnamon is, like, we have such, like, you'll hear us talking about like the color issues and things, and that's a lot of it has to do with on your screen, light is coming from behind it, whereas when you're looking at a painting, light is reflecting off of it, and it's so hard to replicate one to the other accurately.
It really is.
It's very challenging. It's probably the biggest challenge we face technically here on the show.
But you might be facing that technically too, because you might be painting from an online reference at home. And a smidge onto my brush, a little purple. And come around maybe this side a bit.
Oh, can you hold on just a second there?
Yeah.
We're having a little...
And sip coffee.
You can sip coffee?
Mm-hmm. While my ghoul comes together. I love it when a ghoul comes together.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying.
Yep. You're doing great.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's see here. It says goodly-ish, maybe.
Goodly-ish?
Goodly, maybe. Let me see what it says. I'm just going to go out there. I'm not going to trust it. I'm going to go to where it says live. Let's say. I think it's coming back. Are we back? I think we're back. Okay, we are back.
We're back.
Mona says we are back. Yes.
Hi,
okay.
Mona.
Thank you, Mona. We weren't sure. We had to. There was some technical things, so I apologize about that. Okay.
Hi, Mona. So I'm just coming around here. Again, this is close to this shade, but this is our next shade up from this. We're painting this super loosely. All right? We're painting this super loosely. Just bringing this around here. Just bringing this around here. Maybe off the back side here, just a little bit. And this is just the initial block. All right, so don't be hard on yourself here. And remember, your zombie is in the state of decay he's in. If anybody says anything about it, he eat their face. Add a little white to this, maybe a little blue to that base color.
Sean was saying, how about a Buffy-inspired painting?
It's so exciting, all the stuff that, seriously, certain things just get super exciting. I'm just bringing this around the eye socket. Right here, I'm going to come up. I'm trying to use rough brush strokes to help me talk about these sort of bone spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit here, a little bit down. Look, I just go stroke. So if you did the expressive guy with me, there's some similarities in construction here.
Yeah.
Even though, maybe that's what happened to our guy. We don't know. So we're just going along, just getting these blocked in, right? Maybe they're going to be a stroke up a little bit.
Now,
keep the light. You don't want it to get too light in here. That's what you'd be avoiding.
How do you get your paint to go so far?
Well, two things. The brush I have is really well engineered. The canvas I have is just economy canvas, but the paint I have is really high quality paint. And I do a thing where I load my brush and I flip and I load and I flip. And this helps load a good amount, like a camel. But I don't do the thing where I mix them together and they just creep up the ferrule like the blob.
Right, because you don't want paint up in your ferrule.
I don't want paint up in my ferrule. I'm going to just come in here. So I'm just doing this kind of rough. Here. This is a little bit lighter than what was up on the face, on the shoulder. And a lot of this will be in the next 2 value sets, because we'll have at least 4 value sets of light and dark on him. Right? At least 4. But this is our sort of underpainting where, we're talking about him. We're starting to tell the tale.
Nikita says, Happy Diwali, Cinnamon.
You know what? Happy Diwali to everyone who's celebrating Diwali. Prosperity and blessings to your family and your home.
Yes.
And you, of course, as well.
And you.
Not skip you. Everybody.
Everybody.
This happy Diwali. This would be a very weird piece to do for Diwali. He's kind of got lights. Does it count?
His inner light is shining.
Write in and let me know. Does it count?
He's showing his inner light.
His inner light. This little light of mine.
See, I like to think of zombies
let it shine.
from the Shaun of the Dead universe.
I know you do.
Where Ed and Sean play, on their Xbox in the shed out back. I think that's.
I'm Pride and Prejudice zombies all the way. So I'm just coming along with this color and I'm making sure my canvas is filled in. Now, I'm going to take my brush, pigment still on it, and I'm going to load a lighter color and I'm going to add a little blue to it. I want to blue it up, but lighter, but blue it up. And I'm going to come along the shoulder here.
Slide down there.
And start to talk about some of this. And look, I'm going back and forth. I'm being loose. I'm stroking inward. Let's do a little stroke here with that. See how we release? It was kind of look like calligraphy. It was like wiggle around.
Mm-hmm.
This is hard, even though it's easy. That's why I'm like, this is a 2-hoot. Because sometimes just being relaxed about something can be really stressful. Let's come and add a couple streaks of a highlight into this cheek right here. Let's maybe pop one right there.
Yeah.
I think we could do a little bit on this outline of this eye.
So
Get even a little more blue into that. No, sir. Yes, sir. Totally. That's what we're doing. A little more blue into that, right?
Now, we're painting with acrylic paint.
Right, and we're translating a digital painting into an acrylic painting.
Now,
So I'm going to add a little more white for this next bit so that's a value up, one shade lighter, right? Which, if you look at what our original shade was, see how lighter that is?
mm-hmm.
Right, there you go. Not hard.
Now, depending on where you're at in the world, you may or may not see a lot of acrylic paint, so you may be more accustomed to oil paint.
You might be.
And how is acrylic different than oil?
Acrylic dries very quickly. It struggles with soft edges. The soft blending, you have to do some more tricks to get things to blend softly. But it has beautiful hard edges. It does crisp, expressive lines extraordinarily. And this is interesting, you shouldn't paint impasto with oils. You should paint impasto with acrylics.
And then there,
I learned that from somebody whose degree was in art conservation, and they had worked around the world in that field, and they were like, yeah, oils are not made for that.
So to help with that a little bit more, oil paints are also soluble with a
solvent.
With a solvent versus where acrylics are water based.
Yeah, these are water based, and you can paint oil over acrylic, but not acrylic over oil.
Right. So
I'm going to just come here and just add a little bit of this here, and maybe a little bit there. Ooh, let's give him kind of a highlight and make him mean. If we make him mean right here, that's super fun. I'm going to dry brush, which means I don't have a lot of moisture on my brush, and you can see the canvas underneath a little bit right here. Mm-hmm. And even maybe at the top of the teeth here. Let's dry brush a little bit of this. Okay? And I'm going to come here and I'm going to just roughly add another level of highlight. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
To his little skull. And you see I'm leaving spots that are open. Brush down around the outer edge. Maybe stroke some little rough strokes up. See, I just try to make my strokes disorderly.
Yes.
Be disorderly. Be rough as the rumpuses. Let's come on the outside edge here pretty lightly. Maybe a little bit down. And then let's definitely roughly work this in. Okay. Now I'm going to rinse out because I'm going to go dark again for a second.
Okay.
For a second, I got to go dark. Got to get back with my dark. I'm going to get right into my black. Might mix a little of my...
Now, Nico says, she's excuse me, I'm new here, but...
Hi, Nico.
What is gesso?
Gesso is a surface prep. It is a inexpensive preparation for your canvas, for anything that you're going to paint on. They have different formulations, but it's some basic version of marble or chalk dust and in this sort of polymer emulsion. A lot of times they're used for even oils because you can paint oils over acrylic. It is not intrinsically necessary. Your canvas generally comes pre-gessoed, right? You can paint on raw linen. It just gives you a particularly raw linen look. A little bit like painting on burlap would look a little bit like this.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but if you need a neutral surface to paint on, you can put a coat of gesso down. Sometimes the coatings on canvases are not nice, and you can do a coat of gesso over it. Sometimes you want to smooth or alter the surface of canvas, so you can put a bunch of gesso on it and sand it. I've got a whole video actually about gesso. It's Good to Go Gesso. It's a big art quest.
Yeah.
It's like an hour, get real deep into all the stuff about gesso, how they're not equal, reasons you can use it, reasons not to, what it does, what it doesn't do. Because it's nice to have.
Yeah.
It's not super, if you don't have it, your art stuff is over. So I'm taking this is my darkest value, and I'm putting some of this back, right? See that, where I'm putting my deep shadow back?
Yeah.
Maybe come around here a bit. And I'm coming over my light and saying, no, you be dark here, but I'm letting some of the light show through. See, I'm being loose?
Yeah.
This is how I'm getting some of the layering that, you can get in digital. I'm going to come here, load back up. Let's go there. Maybe out to this corner. And you can see that coming back with this extra depth, it just creates a layer of roughness and rawness. You know, on the piece, there's even in the background, you can like softly dry brush if you need to, some dark color over. I like the background, so I'm going to just not do that. Right here, deepening this deep value, like you do. I'm going to get some more black. Come back, streaking this down. Mm-hmm. See how he's getting kind of scarier? He's getting kind of weirder?
Yeah. Certainly more expressive.
Getting some dry brush of this over here. So I'm dry brushing. My brush isn't wet. I'm lightly touching the canvas. Just getting that worked out.
Yeah.
Can dry brush back even here some. And through here, especially really under here. Right. So now we have our second to darkest tone. You can even come back into this because he's a very rough dude.
Yeah.
Right. He's a tough hombre. He eats your face.
Yes.
All up.
But he has an inner light.
He has an inner light that we're all responding to, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to take my Payne's Gray, get a lot more blue into it, and get a lot more white on the tip of this brush. And I'm going to, and this is almost white but not pure white. I'm going to come across the edge of this. On the edge of my brush, you could use a round brush, and I'm using it back and forth. See how I'm back and forth just on the tip of my brush. This brush has a point, so that's why I don't have to change out. Roughly sketching this energetic, this is very graphic comic, right? If you think graphic novels, this sort of rough artistic style, which I really, really like. Let's, this artist put some kind of little graphics here. So we're gonna, and maybe there was some here. And I'm maybe a little looser and more open in my stroke. But that's me, and that's how I'm gonna come back up here. We're gonna say, so that almost implies that there's some shine or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of interesting. And the energy of the line. See how this loose line makes this feel a particular kind of way?
Oh, yeah.
Pulling that down. Making this loose. See, we're making this loose like it could be loose flesh. Let's be loose right here, because these could be all torn, right? I'm going to... I may have to come back and add this because we got the red coming in, but we're putting that there. So some of the highlight may come back with the red. Saying that this is right here. I'm getting more white. And then this bright kind of right over this edge. Down this jawline. This off-center sort of scary jawline. Maybe a little bit here. And let's continue some of that there. So now that's really rough. That's sort of really crazy. I'm going to rinse out and I'm going to change water.
Mm-hmm.
I might even change brush to a number 4.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I
A
think
number
I will.
4, you're going to mix it up?
I am going to mix it up. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is everything is dry. I'm going to get some just white.
You leave it on the edge?
Well, I'm going to get some just white. And I'm going to make sure that I've got a drip coming down here that I first paint in with my just white paint. The reason is sometimes on paints, like mine's pretty good, but you may find your yellow and your red does not cover particularly well. So where you have these drips, you may want to put a little white in. Right, so I'm going to show you that there. The rest I'm going to paint in because I'm painting golden paint, so I don't really have that worry as big.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to show you on these two, if you're painting more of a craft paint, how you would get that vibrant fire.
Oh.
Ah! So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of my little cad red over here into my yellow. And I'm going to make a bright yellow-orange, right? It's still got a little orange in it.
Aunt B says this is so creepy, but still very Halloween-y.
It's still very Halloween-y. It's still very creepy. He's still sort of fun. You know, he might be cool, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. This color is a couple of spots on his head. So I'll show you, like, when I'm painting gold and I can go over my dark color.
Its pigment is dense.
I have a lot of pigment. But even so, the yellow is tough.
Oh.
Right? Come down with a little stroke there. See, I'm back on my brush. I'm far back, and I'm loose with my stroke.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. So we've got some of that there, because, you know, that's how we feel about it. Yeah, I'm going to just lightly dry brush maybe around the eye, some glow. Maybe dry brush lightly, some glow here. Got some little glow coming out of this like nose. This is real light though. You want it to really show the canvas through. This is sort of how you get glow on everything around, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go even a little more red, more cadmium with my glow.
Now, do professional acrylics stay wet longer than other acrylics?
I would say yes, but it's also brand by brand. So there's no standard in painting for paint brands, for brushes, for anything. It's really company by company. There's a group, an independent group that helps try to create paint standards called I don't remember what they're called, but if you see ASTDM on paint, your company's trying to comply with some standard. Maybe it's fading. Maybe it's color accuracy. Maybe it's formulation, because there's like 13 codes. So it's not even enough to just see that on the tube of paint. Because there's 13 codes of things that they could do. But certain companies try to comply and say that phthalo blue should look a certain way. Many of you will talk to me and say, I bought this paint and your phthalo blue is different than mine. That's because they may not be trying to make a standard.
And you can generally, within a good paint company, they're going to have additives that help you speed and slow
down the drying of your paint. Yeah. So there's just some different stuff. When paint's economical, you know, it's going to work a little different than the pro paints. We're not saying that one is, you know, you're not totally a valid artist. We're just saying they perform differently. That's it. That's all you got to take to heart on that. So see how I've created this dry brush rubbing? It's almost like a blushing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is this right here is a little more orange. It's a little more, you know, sort of cadmium. And now he's starting to glow, isn't he?
Yes.
See, how's our glow going? It's starting to glow. Sometimes it's like, dude, girl, where are you going? Even I wonder. I'm going to rinse out my brush and dry it off just because the paint's starting to dry on it. Like it does. Like it does.
Like it does.
I'm going to take a little more of my CAD over to my yellow and create maybe some more of my light values and get in my mouth a little bit. Let's say right here with that light value. And again, along the lip, it's okay. See, if your brush gets a little dry brush here, that's all right because you're going to be glowing around this mouth anyways, aren't you?
So how did you...
Let's come up here.
How did you start to paint? So Derview is asking, how did you start painting so good? Or who is your inspiration, Art Sherpa?
Well, I grew up artist. So my mom's an artist. My grandmother was an artist. On my dad's side, we had photographers. My dad was a photographer. So being creative was a really validated experience in my home. So I can't really remember a time that I didn't have art. I would say that I got comfortable in my skill set when I started painting all the time, daily, all the time, right? So coming up through college, I kind of, you know, painted when the mood or muse struck me or I had an assignment. After that, when I started working, I realized that I got to paint all the time if anybody's going to eat. And I worked at my mom's studio, and she painted all the time, and we painted all the time. And when I was constantly painting, and then I did a daily painting during a period there that really helped me a lot, too.
Yeah.
So I think it's just working all the time. So see how I'm moving this yellow down? And I think there's still room to grow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to also just get this yellow sort of based into this nose. Even though we're going to be coming back with like some other darker colors, I just want this bright against the white here. So there we go. Now let's get our brush a little bit wet and come back into our CAD. Right? And I'm going to get a little of my Alizarine Crimson now.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. See how I mix that in there?
Yeah.
Let's come and start. He's got these sort of center points of glow in his eyes. So we have to start creating that.
Yeah.
I just
The
dipped my
inner
brush in
light.
water to improve the flow off the paint because it was getting thick and not flowing for me. I could have used a medium. Just going to bring this around. I will be coming back with brighter and lighter colors, but this is nice to have this deep color.
Yeah.
The
I like
crimson helps pop the cad red. It's why we bother with it.
It's looking really good.
Yeah, he will. He's going to come out real awesome. I'm going to just... And again, it's okay to be rough with him.
Well, he's very impressionistic.
Yeah, he is. Just come in with some I'm just coming in and putting some just crimson right there.
Yeah.
I'm not even playing. I'm like, yeah, take that crimson. You will have red. So this is our deep color, right? This is our darkest color really in our eyes and our nose.
Well, this is an interesting question. So can someone start painting later in life, say they're in their 30s and 40s, and still develop a good skills to create
Yes.
as well as someone
Grandma
who started?
Moses discovered that she could paint when she was 80.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was 80.
She was 80.
Wow.
So, yes.
I thought Grandma Moses was painting her entire life.
No.
Really?
Really.
That's kind of crazy.
It kind of is.
Okay, well, there you go.
There you go.
So, no, you don't. It's any age.
Any age.
And what I would say is that as you get older, you have a larger pool to draw from emotionally. And
I'm just going to let them know real quick that I'm outlining the dark right there. There you go, John.
No.
I'm going to put some dark right in the mouth now. You go back to what you're saying. I didn't want to interrupt you. I just didn't want them not to. I wanted to say it.
Oh,
just
no.
For the closed captioning and stuff.
As we grow older, we have more things to say because we have experienced more. So, I think that as artists, there's more potential to talk about as we grow older.
I agree with that. I'm taking this dark color down into my droopy bit, the lava part that's coming out, which again is the Alizarine Crimson in the CAD medium. Right? Let's go dark here. Let's be dark.
And when the chat's like, no, John Cinnamon's correct. Yeah. I don't doubt her. I just like, wow.
I mean, Beatrice Woods was like working until she was like something like 97, 94, something like that. There's a lady who's circulating around. She's 103 and she still paints every day.
There's a lot of Sherpettes that are chiming in saying, hey, no, I just started painting recently.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah, there's no... creating artistically and whether your art is valid is not in any way age related, which is kind of comforting if you think about it. I'm going to rinse out this brush I has here. Now I've got these bases in. See, I got my bases. Oh, see, he's starting to be. Isn't it crazy? Mm-hmm. So what you're really looking to have is you're looking to have some lighter values here and your cooler. So the lighter it is, the more yellow to white it is, the hotter it is. So obviously the center of him is hot, like an infernal hell. But on the outer ridges, he's cooling down. He's seeing the world in a more realistic... I'm just saying that's how it works.
Or you could see his passion for farming coming through. He may not be a bad guy at all. He may just be like...
I want you to take some of your CAD red light that's mixed in with your Alizarine Crimson and get some black. Right? Can you do that for me?
What?
Guys. And you're going to make some sort of tendony marks that are distant. And the reason we mix some red into it is, so that they appear further back in the mouth. Because he has got some of that there. And then when you have those in really, really well, go ahead and do some black ones at the low part. Maybe a little darker markup. See how we're making some tendons? And as we're painting, we will... Tendons. Just saying. He has them. Some tendons. It's a nice touch. I feel. I feel his tendons are a nice touch.
Oh, yeah.
I'll rinse this out a bit and get into my warmer CADs, which is going to be a little of my yellow and some CAD. So it's a little warmer now.
Druve, and I hope I'm saying her name right. Druve is only 11, and says I really want to choose art for my GCSEs. I think
Okay.
that's like a career education path, I think.
Yeah.
And I hope to become an artist just like you, but I can never be better than you. Oh,
You can. And it's okay, sweetie. That's totally allowed. There's a whole bunch of artists all around the world that totally are.
Yeah.
But make your goal to be as happy as I am in my art.
Yeah.
Because I'm super happy doing what I do.
Yeah. You can totally become amazing, awesome painters. There's no limit to what you can do or how you can create.
Yes.
You know.
Like
don't
we said, we
limit
don't
yourself.
remove anyone from the group for being awesome.
No.
That isn't what gets them out. Regardless of their social media status. All right, I'm going to add some of this warm orange into the nose. Okay. And so I'm just trying to remember that there's a shape here that I am respecting, right? And it's starting to take shape, the shape that I am respecting. Let's get right into this mouth and warm this sort of up. And it's great because as we go over and kind of paint back the tendons, right? It does that cool stuff.
It gives the layers and
then I'm going to
glow.
paint out. See, now I've made his mouthy more tendony, like you do. And we're going to make a nice little drop here. And you can go ahead and really, really yellow this up, and you can take your drop down. Now, if you've been painting, sometimes the real economy paints, their yellow is just so challenging to paint with. All right, but we've got that sort of fire drip coming down. Well, let's drip a little fire here. Let's drip some fire.
Drip some fire.
And I'm dipping in my water and swirling around because I'm trying to thin it out so it has nice flow.
Christy says, I can totally see him as a volcano lava monster.
Yes. Let's take a little bit off his chin because he's drooling. And then he's got a little bit under here, right?
See, he got his passion all over his face.
All over his face. He's into it. Let's drip some more down. Get some more CAD. You can... There we go. That's some nice drippies. And we'll do a really cool splatter on him too, and I'll show you how you can make splattering a little easier. I'm going to add some of this glow. I'm going to make sure my brush isn't too wet because I'm going to dry brush a little bit of our glow here. Okay. Because he's got a little bit of glow here and there. Maybe a little bit comes down on the mouth. This is all dry brush though. You can have some there. Have a little bit of this glow to the outside of the eye. So I think that's pretty glowed, which is exciting to me. And I'm going to get my CAD. And I'm going to just start pulling this inferno together. See, I'm just stroking around. I'm going over the alizarin. The alizarin is giving me some depth that I need.
Uh-huh.
So at the top of the nose, let's make sure it's cooler up here because where we see the inferno is more in the nostril centers that go to the brain. So we could say maybe like he's a hothead. So show some more of this kind of red here. And this is what's fun is like I'm balancing out this stuff, right? The thing that's going to be real fun is doing these drips, these reflective drips, and getting that final glow in the eyes.
Yeah.
Like you need to. And you need to.
See, I feel like this is a Caribbean or like equatorial zombie as opposed to like, Game of Thrones who has these northern zombies who, quite frankly, I'm curious.
My zombie would own those northern zombies.
Yeah, northern zombies don't. I'm just gonna say I don't buy it here because people don't move fast in the cold, and those zombies, I don't know, man. They seem to be moving way too fast. I think cold zombies would be like meat popsicles.
I think that's the magic of the zombie there. So I'm just making sure that glow is up in the mouth. See how I put the glow up in the mouth and I'm starting to put the glow in the eyes?
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe my brush off, but not rinse it, and get some white. The pigment on my brush is still going to, and if it doesn't, you can get some should tint your white a little bit, so it's not pure white.
Yeah.
And you're going to come in the center of your eyes here and lightly create this. See the focus? I'm going to do it again over here. It's just little kind of rounded brush strokes, light brushing, very dry, letting a lot of the paint underneath to show through. Excellent. Now he needs a little focal in his little nostrils.
That's where the sneeze comes from.
Yeah, you don't want to be in front of that snot, do you? And let's put also here a little bit of this highlight. That's so much fun.
That's great.
Isn't that fantastic? It's so much fun. I love it so much. I love it so much. Now, his mouth is a real interesting bit of kit. But first, I'm going to go back even into my crimson and my CAD. Because the drops have very specific kind of formulations, and I want to make sure that I catch those. So this is kind of a double drop here. He's really drooling right here. And then I create highlights in that. I'm going to just go right into my CAD. And I'm going to start putting the highlight right there. You can take some of this down your drop. And put some highlight right here.
See.
And then a little bit here. That's how we just have to have a shadow and a. Now we're going to get my bright orange, which is the yellow, and CAD red again, right? And we're going to do an interesting thing. We're going to very carefully and weirdly outline.
Oh, you're putting that back glow on there.
The teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can add some of that right there and there. You're just outlining that space. Come back with a little more of that. When you have that, you only have one last thing you need to do.
Oh, yeah?
You're going to get your pure white on the tip. I didn't even need to use my fluid black and white. I had them out. I'll have to remove them from the list because I didn't even need them. You're going to make 1, 2, 3 reflections. Give yourself another little reflection here. And in the pure white.
Oh, yeah. Get those maximum highlights in there.
Yeah, he needs his little highlights. I'm just gonna help it. So that's Fire Zombie.
That turned out really, really good.
So you absolutely can translate digital works into paintings. So if you're like, man, should I get this painter app for my phone? Right? And maybe like be out designing when I don't have access to my art supplies, and then later I'll turn them into canvas paintings. Yes, you totally can. That's kind of how it works. You know? And if you have a friend who's a digital artist and you're like, man, I really want to do... Oh, wait, I forgot the splatter. I forgot to show them the splatter.
Oh, yeah, the splatter.
All right.
And you have to sign it and show them.
I have to show them the splatter, though.
Okay.
And you got to do the full screen of it, yeah.
And I'm going to give you some dancing music to go out on.
Let me get some of the red water. Let me splatter first.
Okay.
And then we'll dance. So I'm thinning this. I'm going to add some yellow to it, so it's a really hot thing. Now, guys, I use real cadmium paint.
Real cadmium.
I have no metal allergies at all.
None.
If you have cadmium hue, you don't have to even worry about this, other than if you're allergic to acrylic paint or not. Like if you had a latex thing.
Although all my cameras do have cadmium red splatter paint on them.
They do. But the difference between, us is like, I know I have no allergies. The allergy is really real. I just want to let you know it exists, so you don't find out in a surprising way, like a person who finds out suddenly they have peanut allergy.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So I've loaded this up. This is my splatter brush. I developed this, and this little bad boy is my fave. And so this guy has splatter, so I'm going to splatter too.
Oh, so you're just going to...
Yeah, because I like it.
And if you could tilt your hand over toward the camera way so we can see how that works.
So,
yeah, there you go. Perfect.
So I just have to pull this out. This thing is actually designed to do this.
And
not mess up my splattering. See how now I have the nice zombie glow splatter? Because I'm just awesome like that.
And that's just the nice is that you just got a nice little predictable flick with that.
Here, you take a nice little close-up tour around the zombie.
You would tilt him out for me?
Sure.
There we go. And then we'll just give them, that way they can get a little bit of a, oh, there you go. You can see the little zombie guy there.
There you go. There he is.
You didn't sign him yet, though.
I'm going to sign him, but you said tilt him.
Oh.
And we still haven't recapped.
We haven't.
I'm going to sign in my fire color, which I normally, as you guys know, would not do. But I think in the instance of this painting, sort of interesting. So I will, because I feel like it goes. It wouldn't necessarily always go to put a big giant signature on here.
Yeah.
Right? Or a red one. But in this case, for this picture, I think it'll look nice.
I think so too.
And so just whenever you're signing, think about your composition. And realize your signature is an element in that and can draw the eye. And so just be considerate of that experience and think about where you'd want that.
Yeah.
So let's recap. We translated a digital painting into acrylic. We talked about the differences between the soft and hard edges of acrylic painting and where the challenges are and the differences between being a digital painter and acrylic painter and how digital painting is just as hard as acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
We painted in the background with a Payne's gray and a touch of purple. We mixed that with phthalo blue, Mars black, a little bit of white, and a touch of purple. And we were careful with the purple because it's powerful stuff. Then we took our darkest Payne's gray that we had on the palette at that time, but was still a shade lighter than the black, and painted in all of our shadow values. Then we painted this highlight midtone value over all the places that the light would be catching our guy. Right? Then we start coming in with the darkest value, our black, and the lightest values around our zombie, and mimicked the rough digital brushstroke. Then we went in and we did the eyes, and that was based in Alizarine Crimson, Cad Light, and Cad Yellow, and Titanium White. We mixed the Alizarine Crimson and the Cad together to create a deep, cool value at the outer edge, and discussed how, since his Inferno is internal, that would be our lightest, warmest colors. Like our white and our yellow would be closer there where that would be, and we'd see it through the nose and the eyes and in the center of the mouth. We added tendons, we did some drips, we created highlights, and we splattered.
Yeah. That turned out pretty
That's
great.
what we did today. Do you feel like you accomplished some stuff?
I think so. There's a lot of people who are really excited about this. We had a really full house of people who are ready to paint, do this. So thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us.
You know, and feel like you can share this guy in the Big Art Quest. The Big Art Quest is just for Quest. We just share those paintings there.
I can't.
But share anything, huh?
I can't wait to see them.
Oh, and share anything that you have in the Art Sherpa official on our website. You're allowed to just upload everything you want to our website. I mean, not like content-wise, but as many paintings as you like.
TheArtSherpa.com. And if you go to /Sherpa Halloween, you'll find this and all of the other paintings from this year and last year and the year before.
I painted a lot of spooky stuff.
There's
and then one thing that kind of skipped spooky and creepy and went into a whole different thing. So
yeah, it's all out there.
Hopefully this was your because you guys were like, I need a scarier painting. And I was like, we need a Big Art Quest on this kind of face. Anyways, I really like him.
Yeah, me too.
I hope you really like your guy. And remember, if anyone's rude about it, he's going to eat their face. Just eat it right up. See, I just missed that point, don't I? Pooh! Thank you guys for your time, your patience, your creativity. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at the Easel really soon, which is Friday on Facebook and Saturday on YouTube.
Love you guys.
Tomorrow. Bye.